Alright, it is completed. I have achieved a streak of 700 in Duolingo. Therefore, I am the Swahili master and know everything there is to know about Swahili. This video will cover my entire journey to get to this point so far. It will cover what I learned, strengths and weaknesses of using Duolingo, my recommendations, and in the end, I'm going to speak Swahili so that you can be the judge of Duolingo's efficacy. Firstly, what did I learn in 700 days? The first thing I learned is that Duolingo should never be your main resource to study a language. You just move so slowly through Duolingo, and you miss a lot of skills that you wouldn't otherwise miss if you only use Duolingo. For example, you can set Duolingo so that you never have to speak a sentence of Swahili when you use the app. This, of course, will hinder your speaking. Additionally, the vocabulary that it teaches you is very limited. So you will also have to look at outside resources to learn more words outside of things like to sweep and to read and to swim. You'll actually have to use useful words. So you should probably look outside of Duolingo for that. However, maintaining a streak is really good for keeping your consistency. So over the last 700 days, I have studied Swahili, and those cumulative hours over that long time span is better for learning than if I were to take all the hours that I've practiced for and put them into a week. So it's really good in spacing out your learning, which is never a bad thing if you have unlimited time. You know, if you're not meeting a deadline, if you're not trying to major in a language in college, or if you're not going on a vacation, then Duolingo's great. In terms of actual content that I learned on day 650 or around that mark, I learned the tense for should. You know how you say you should do this, you should do that, I should do this, I should do that, yada yada yada. Well, there's a tense for it in Swahili, and I learned it. Thank goodness, because I was wondering about that for 700 days. And granted, there is a word for to should, but it's not the same. Also, I learned how to conjugate verbs for the what if tense. So if I were to say, if you were to do that, how would you do it? I would know the correct verb tense to put in the first verb. And those were really my big takeaways. Of course, I learned some of the vocabulary that Duolingo taught me, but a lot of it was pretty useless, like learning the word for measles and malaria. Like, yes, it's present in that region of Africa, but what are the chances I'm going to be talking about malaria and measles? Probably not very high. Next, let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses of using Duolingo. Firstly, the strengths. Like I talked about earlier, consistency is really easy to keep up when you use Duolingo because you don't want to let your streak die. You don't want that fire to go out. And Duolingo has features to prevent you from wanting to lose your streak. For example, keeping friend streaks makes you want to not let your friend down, so you do it for other people. Or having streak freezes prevents you from losing your streak even if you miss a day, so that way you don't get demotivated and quit using the app and then quit learning the language entirely. So for consistency, Duolingo is actually really good. Surprisingly, Duolingo helped me with Swahili grammar immensely. Because it's so complicated and because I got so many reps in using Swahili grammar, I understood it a lot better. Like I said earlier, especially the should tense and the if tense. Like if I wasn't using Duolingo, I would still be struggling with that today. But I'm not. So thanks, Duolingo. And lastly, a strength that I want to point out is it really gives you a goal to work towards. And it gives you an idea of tangible progress. So without the streak, I wouldn't have any tangible progress of how far I've come. But because I have a streak of 700, I know I've been practicing for 700 days. Now let's move on to the weaknesses. The vocabulary is extremely limited. I learn very weird words and words that I won't use that often, like the word knife. I don't use that word often, so I don't know why they have me learn it, but it's just things like that. And a lot of the very important words that I should be learning, like the word important or the word language, I don't learn. So it's just very hit or miss in terms of what Duolingo teaches you in terms of vocabulary. The pace that you learn Duolingo, the actual learning that takes place, is extremely slow because everything's gamified. You aren't actually doing any studying, any analysis. You just kind of learn that things are the way they are. You don't learn the rules behind it. And a weird thing that Duolingo does with Swahili, with the Swahili course specifically, is that it has each word, each verb is conjugated based on the person who's saying it and the tense, if it's past tense, present tense, or future tense. And instead of just teaching the root verb and all of the tenses, they teach every single word individually. So, mlipe, y'all should pay, is a different word than alipe, he should pay. Like, why not just teach lipa, or the infinitive form kulipa, to pay, and then teach that starting it with an M means y'all, and starting it with an A means he or she or it, or he or she. So it's just a lot of things that it does that confuses me. Lastly, they have ads on their app. I don't like it. It's not fun. Boo. All right, penultimately, we have tips for viewers. What do I recommend to you guys after using Duolingo for 700 days? Firstly, try to digest what the main point of each lesson is after you do the lesson. So after each lesson, you should think to yourself, what is my main takeaway here? What did I learn? And when you actually do the lessons, I would first try to guess what the right answer is, and then check your work after you guess. So if it's a fill in the blank, you put in all the words, and then you tap the words in for what Duolingo gave you to find the translation to see if you're doing it correctly, to see if you interpreted that correctly. That way you can still practice without losing lives. And when you're doing lessons, you should be actively looking for patterns. So if they're teaching you a new verb tense, look at that pattern and figure out how it works within the sentence so that you can go out and apply it later. And that brings me to my next point. You should not be using Duolingo alone. You should be using Duolingo in conjunction with other resources. Otherwise, it's going to take you infinity time for you to learn the Swahili. And now it's time for me to speak Swahili to show you how much I know after 700 days. So I'm going to generate a random question, and then I'm going to answer in Swahili, and it's going to be really bad, so I'm going to use a lot of English words for the words that I don't know. Okay. The random question is, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Sijui sana kuhusu kedege. Basi ni ngumu kwa mimi kujibu mambo hii. Basi sijui neno kwa guess. Basi, if I had to guess, ningesema sabisa meili kwa sa. That was horrendous. That was absolutely horrendous. I know words, putting them together is difficult. So hopefully when I travel to Tanzania, I'll be able to make myself understood and understand relatively quickly. But we'll see. It's so bad. But I try. That's 700 days, so that's just under 2 years. I know I've been studying for over 2 years. So yeah, if you've been studying for under 2 years and can answer that question better than me, then you're better than me and you're a more efficient studier. But for me, I'm pretty bad at this language, so that's my answer. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you found it entertaining. Have a great day. Ciao.